Hi there, welcome to my views on news. Three news stories. Firstly, protest in a disputed territory, disputed between Tigray and Amhara regions. We saw protests in Rayalamata a few days ago by Amhara community. Now protest in another such area, which is contested by both Tigray and Amhara regions. Secondly, two brutal incidents this week, incidents of ethnic violence. Dozens were killed in these two incidents. Incident happened in two different parts of Ethiopia. Blame game ongoing, no one acknowledging responsibility for these brutal attacks on unarmed people in both cases. Firstly, viewers, Tigray, Amhara locked into a dispute over disputed territories. Disputed territories are two zones. Ralamata Koram Ofla, Southern Zone, Tigray calls it Southern Tigray. Western Zone, Tigray calls it Western Tigray. Area situated to the west of Takeze River. Umera Volkai, Sagade, Tselemti. A few days ago, we saw clashes between Tigray fighters and Amhara fighters in Alamata. Ethiopia military intervened. Fighting went on for around half an hour. Tigray fighters captured some new cabalets. Ultimately, ENDF's intervention de-escalated the situation. And after that, we heard Tigray and Amhara leaders agreed on how to resolve the deadlock over Alamata, southern and western zones. And then we saw protests, two protests held in Alamata. The protesters were definitely Amharas. The protests were backed by Amhara ethnic group members, Amhara provisional governments in Ralamada. Another protest, this time in Western Zone, Tselemti, in Misabre. There was a protest today. Hundreds of people took to the streets of Misabre in Tselemti. They chanted slogans. They were displaying banners. They thanked Amhara people. They were Amharas basically, saying that Tigray is their neighbor. Takeze is the boundary between Tigray and Amhara, and that the people have been struggling to get answers of their requests for identity and border, but they remained under Tigray administration by force. They don't want to be part of Tigray again. Uh, People delivered speeches as well. Basically, these protests are being launched in disputed territories because we are hearing that the militias in two zones are going to be disarmed. The provisional governments are going to be disbanded. New administrators are going to be elected. IDPs will return. Referendum will be held. Though it's a long way to go. This process will take months, if not years. No start so far. Tigray is reportedly comparing the lists of IDPs. The lists will be shared with the Ethiopian National Defense Force, and ENDF will approve the return of IDPs. Then the next steps will be completed. So it will take some time. The dispute still is alive. We cannot say that the dispute has been resolved because there are lots of ifs and buts. How will the situation unfold? We'll see in coming months. But the protests launched in these territories by Amhara people indicate that if the zones become part of Tigray, obviously people here will be either displaced, they leave these territories, or that might lead to Tigray Amhara ethnic tension. Let's see what happens. Protest held in Tselemti today. Hundreds were there, women, men, children took part in this demonstration. We have no verified information so far that the militias are being disarmed. Militias will be disarmed, but they won't be expelled. If the militia members are original residents of the two zones, they won't be expelled. So militias will be disarmed, but militia members will be here. Same with Tigray fighters. Tigray fighters who were part of TDF but who are from Rala, Mata, Koram, southern western zones, they'll be allowed to return to their homes, but they won't be allowed to return armed. So coming days crucial. We don't know what is going to happen. We don't know about the intention of Tigray. Federal government, Amhara government, they have agreed to the idea of holding a referendum, but Tigray is showing some resistance. Federal government, Amhara government are delaying the return of IDPs. It should have started months ago, still talks ongoing. Secondly, there was two brutal incidents of violence which happened in Ethiopia this week. Whenever such incidents happen, perpetrators are never brought to justice. That is why one after the other we see such heinous incidents of ethnic violence across Ethiopia. It's not specific to one region. These incidents have been happening across Ethiopia. First incident happened in Gambella on the 3rd of April, on Friday. Not on Friday, not on the 3rd of April. It happened on Friday when a refugee camp was attacked by armed men. A refugee camp situated around an hour drive from Gambella city. Panyuduk is the name of the refugee camp. There were refugees there. Anioks, refugees from Aniok ethnic group were there. Women, children, elderly, etc. Attackers stormed the camp. They killed people indiscriminately. 10 were reported dead and several injured. Some say the number of dead is around 50, but 10 casualties confirmed 2 days ago. Then several were severely injured, taken to hospitals. Who were the attackers? We don't know. The attackers left a piece of paper with the name of Neors. Anioks have been fighting for years in Gambella. Some say the attackers were from Murle tribe. We don't know. It would be inappropriate to name any group, but it's up to the government to tell the people who was behind this brutal attack in Gambella, leaving dozens injured and killed. Tensions rose there between ethnic groups. Then mobile networks services were suspended too. And tensions are still high in these areas. The victims, the ethnic group from which they are, they'll definitely take revenge. Why? Because there is no remedy. There's no legal remedy. Security forces are helpless in these cases of ethnic violence. Now, another case of ethnic violence was reported in Oromia this week. Again, on 3rd of, again, it happened on Friday. And in southwest Shoa zone of the Oromia region, around 20 were killed in an attack. Here we have seen conflicting statements. Oromo Liberation Front issued a statement saying that the military killed people. The Ethiopian military killed people, accusing them of supporting the Oromo Liberation Army. Groups from the Amhara region claim that the killed people are Amharas, and they were killed by Oromia forces and the Oromo Liberation Army. So we don't know. Whenever such incidents of ethnic violence happen, you never clearly know who is the perpetrator. And perpetrators take up arms, they take revenge. Why? Because there is no government. There are no security forces sincerely working to end this ethnic violence. And sometimes the security forces become part of the violence as well. So these incidents of ethnic violence have been ongoing across Ethiopia. In Amhara region, Oromo Amhara fight in Oromia special zone, North Zone. We saw what happened. Dozens were killed and injured in recent weeks. In Ralamata, Tigray and Amhara fighters clashed there. Luckily, no large-scale casualties there. In Gambella, Murle, Aniok, Neor violence. In Gomas, Amhara Gomas violence happening. Small incidents happening, people dying, 1, 2, I don't report that, but there too. Amhara, women's violence. Afars and Somalis fought too a few days ago on Afar Somali border. These ethnic conflicts are spread across Ethiopia, and they can only be resolved after there is an atmosphere of ethnic harmony has been created in the country. So far, all leaders, politicians are working for the protection of the interests of the groups from which they belong to. What is needed is that nationalists, Ethiopian nationalists, politicians, leaders should be welcomed, encouraged, and supported. Ethnicity, affiliation to ethnic group, blind affiliation is leading to ethnic violence in different parts of Ethiopia. Thank you.